Okay, guys, so today I thought I was going to make a video about how to make your own eJuice. Um, I I'm a fan of some very minty juices. It's just a real simple one. I'm sure you've seen it from your favorite Mount Baker Vapor or any other provider. They all have it. It's extreme ice is the flavor. And it's a real simple juice to make. If you like simple juices, making your own is quite economical. So today, I'll first go over what I'm going to use to make it. You've got your VG, and this is a big bottle of VG. It's a full liter. You get it in large containers because it's only like $11 to $15 a bottle. And there's your PG, again, large container. I buy by the liter. And similar prices on it. $11 to $15 is pretty normal. And then I've got my nicotine. This is 100 milligram, 50-50. So 50% PG, 50% VG, diluted with this nicotine. This was the first bottle I bought. If I was to do it again, I would definitely get 100% PG, and I would probably consider getting a lower amount of milligrams. I tend to get a little bit of hot spots in my juice, and a hot spot is like you've been vaping, throughout the tank or whatever, and all at once you get to a spot where it feels like there's just a lot of nicotine in there. I found that the VG based nicotine fluids, especially in the higher milligrams, tends to hotspot. So when I do replace this, it will for sure be PG only. Then I've also got some sweetener. This tastes very similar to the pink packets that you get at the store. Now, for my nicotine and my PG and my VG, I've put them in these 120 milliliter bottles. I find that they're easier to work with, and you can tell which is which from the viscosity. PG is almost like water, whereas VG is like a syrup. So like you just can kind of do like this a couple times and tell which is which. And then the nicotine base has got a little bit of a like a tannish hue to it. So now what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be making 60 ml of extreme ice. And I'm going to be doing it with a scale. I find it's easier to work with a scale than to try and measure it out with a syringe. I've used the syringe method. It works just fine. It's better for small batches than it is for big batches. And even whenever I'm doing by weight, I'll still add the fluid by way of syringe. So it's not like these are completely wasted. It's just I feel I get better results from using the scale. And I'm going to have links to all of this stuff in the description as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my bottle. And let's see if I can get a little bit more of this into frame. I'm going to grab my bottle and I'm going to use this for mixing my fluid. I bought these bottles on Amazon. I think I want to say I paid $9 or $10 for a 12-pack of them. And at 60 ml, you can have a lot of juice laying around with that. So you start by turning your scale on. Oh, whoops. You want it to be zeroed out when it's turned on. Whoops. Okay, and I wonder if Yeah, that might be a little bit easier to see on camera that way. So you put your bottle on it, and I'm using a calculator on eliquidrecipes.com. They have calculators that will calculate for weight-based recipes. So I like using it. So the first thing you do is tare, which will zero it out at whatever the current weight is. And my recipe calls for, by the way, I'm doing this in 4% nicotine. It's one of my favorite parts about making my own juice, is I can have it at whatever amount of nicotine I want. Anyhow, for 4% nicotine, I need 2.76 grams of 100 milligram nicotine juice. So we'll start with that. And again, it's 2.76 grams is what I'll be using. Now, experience has told me that 1 dropper full is about a gram. So I go pretty quick for the first little bit. Oh, by the way, you are supposed to shake this nicotine first. The nicotine is lighter than the VG. So the nicotine will tend to float on the top if you don't shake it. I should have done that before I started. And you kind of want to slow down as you get closer. That looks pretty good. A little bit high, but no one will be able to, you won't be able to notice that small of a variation. Now we need 26.11 grams of PG. And this is the PG. Now when I do this, I have a little funnel I like to use that makes it just a little bit easier. And we have to tare the scale again. And we're going for, again, 26.11. Oh, I went a bit over. No matter. It's a little bit more than what I would usually be okay with going over. I try and keep a little bit closer than that. But I don't think you'll notice any major difference. Generally, the nicotine and the flavoring is where you really want it to be extra precise. So now we need VG, and we need 36.32 grams. Now the VG is way more viscous, and I find it to be a little bit harder to work with in general. Again, 36.32. Sorry, I was double checking my notes. That's close enough in my opinion. Okay. So I'm going to do 5% flavoring, which is the extreme ice flavoring. And for this I need 3 grams, which is going to roughly equate to 3 milliliters. I'm going to tare this again. I'm going to take my 3mm syringe, because now I need to be precise, and I'm going to fill it. Let's see if I can do this on camera. Over here. And the flavoring is PG based, so it sucks up into a syringe really easily. Anything that's VG based does not. So again, we're looking for 3 grams of this. There we go. Right on the button. Now, you're supposed to reuse your syringes. You're supposed to dispose your syringes. I reuse them. I haven't noticed too much flavor contamination, but I know a lot of people claim there's quite a bit. So the next thing I need is the sweetener, which again, this is very reminiscent of the pink packets you see at the restaurant. And for this, I need 0.6 grams. Now, the sweetener is lighter than the other fluids, so I believe it's going to be about 1 milliliter. So I'm going to tare this again, and we're looking for 0.6. And a little bit of the sweetener goes a long way. A little bit over, but that's well within tolerance. We've added our nicotine base, we've added our VG, our PG, and our flavorings. And again, this is a pretty simple recipe for demonstration purposes. But it is effectively done in terms of the actual mixing. So what we're going to do is, I like to take my cap and I like to pull off this part. It just pulls right out. And then I like to close it up. And you just want to shake the piss out of this for a couple minutes. So I'm probably going to cut the film here, by the way. Okay, so I've shooken this up for a few minutes, and for a lot of people this would be where the process pretty much ends. You'd want to come back about once a day and shake it again for at least a week, really, for it to finally be ready to start vaping. This is not a very complex flavor, so it really requires less steeping, in my opinion, than some of the other flavors that I make. But I have a way of accelerating the process that I generally do. I have a ultrasonic cleaner. That might be kind of big for on camera. Boy, is it. Can I zoom out any? No. It's an ultrasonic cleaner. I got it from Harbor Freight. And it's full of water, and you just put this in here, and the lid won't close, but that's okay because the buttons still work. There's a little on button up here. See that? but you just put it in there and you press on, and what it does is it just kind of agitates the fluid, and I feel like it accelerates the steeping process. I will run it in this device at least 4 or 5 times, and from that point forward I find it to be, generally speaking, a vapable experience. Again, I'll shake it periodically, like every 2 or 3 times I run it. And that's really it. This bottle of e-liquid, all said and done, cost me between 2 and 3 cents a milliliter. So today I made 60 milliliters of juice for about $1.30-ish. I think that's a pretty good price. It's certainly a way of making vaping much more economical. I know for a while there I was starting to get frustrated because, a big plus of vaping in my mind is that you do get the cheaper prices, or it's cheaper than smoking, I should say. But then as time went on and I started using, sub-tanks and drippers and so forth, I would start consuming way more juice, and at the point where I started mixing my own juice, my calculations were indicating that I was nearing a break-even point with smoking traditional cigarettes. So I decided to try mixing my own, and so far it's been lovely. Several of my friends enjoy my fluids I make, so I make sometimes for my friends as well. Anyhow, it's worked out well for me, and hopefully it works out well for you. Also, this Chicago Electric ultrasonic cleaner, I believe I paid $20 for that from Harbor Freight. Thank you. You have a good